Greetings, Marvel movie fans. It's time for...
Another!
Last time we talked about Loki and how his plan was actually pretty good, all things considered. Today we're going to go on the other end of the competency meter and talk about Justin Hammer from Iron Man 2. I hope you have your popcorn ready because I am going to be ripping into this guy for at least a good 10 minutes. Now while Vanko, aka Whiplash, is certainly the main villain, he wouldn't have really gotten all that far without Hammer. They kind of feed off of each other. So what's Hammer's goal? Well, that's pretty simple. He wants to be better than Tony Stark. More rich, more powerful, more blah blah blah. But of course, he isn't the machinist that Tony is. Tony is apparently the only person in the world who knows how to make an Iron Man suit, or at least an arc reactor. You may remember the only reason Obadiah Stane had a suit was because he stole a reactor from Tony. Well, enter Anton Vanko. This guy assisted Tony's family in making the original arc reactor, so he had to know how to make his own, and he passed off that knowledge to his son Ivan. Now Ivan blames Tony for the death of his own father, and his only goal is to kill Tony Stark. So, once Vanko reveals himself in all of his shirtless splendor, Hammer recruits him and asks him to make new Iron Man suits. Now before I get into actual plot stuff, let's go into Hammer's behavior and how it really doesn't fit. How the heck is this guy a successful weapons contractor? He is a goofball that puts my silliness levels to shame without any of the self-awareness or an off button.
Green is not your best color.
Anthony, is that you?
My least favorite
hey,
person
pal.
on earth, Justin.
How you
Hammer.
doing? I love to leave my door unlocked when I leave the house. But this ain't Canada. Well, listen, even if it's not the bird, I mean, this is a gorgeous bird. I mean, you know, look, don't get so attached to things. Learn to let go.
This guy really needs a PR lady to follow him and tell him when it's a good time to shut up. Like, seriously, have you ever seen a CEO behave like this? This guy is a weapons contractor. He sells instruments of violence and death, and he's goofing around without a care in the world. He doesn't give his subject matter the gravitas it needs. If you compare this guy's pitch to Tony's Jericho pitch in the first movie, you will see a big difference. I'm fairly sure most of you guys have met people in the military. They have a tendency to be pretty serious, especially on the job. I have major doubts that Hammer's approach to sales would be particularly convincing to them. So all that said, I have no clue why Hammer has money. He has so much money that he spends it lavishly and obnoxiously. Well, asshole, where the hell do you get your money? But let's get to the substance of my argument. How he handles Vanko. Vanko attacks Stark directly, trying to kill him with his own arc reactor and electro whips. Iron Man stops him and puts him in jail. What does Hammer do? He decides to break him out and recruit him. But he does it in the absolute worst way possible. He sneaks Vanko an explosive and a key and a scapegoat, apparently wearing Vanko's prison suit, and the explosion is to cover up that guy's features so the authorities think Vanko died. And while this gets him what he wants, the consequences of this are kinda severe. Let's count the crimes the Hammer is guilty of in this action. Breaking out a criminal. I'm not sure what the official wording for that is. Premeditated murder, since this guy's death was part of the plan. Destruction of government property. Accessory to a murder of a government worker, since I don't think this one was planned. And aiding and abetting a known terrorist, since I'm pretty sure Vanko's attack on the Grand Prix qualifies as terrorism. That is a cocktail of crimes that would pretty thoroughly wreck him if the public were to find out. Not to mention that this would end up being a triple cross-jurisdiction international crime. An American breaking out a Russian who did a terror attack in Monaco. Hammer, for some ungodly reason, you have money. So why did you not just use that money to get him? You're telling me you couldn't stage something more subtle. You couldn't pay someone to have him turned over to you, therefore you at least have a scapegoat. Hell, you have a contract with the military. Why not work out a deal between the military and the Monaco government to have Vanko legally transferred over to you for the purposes of developing the arc reactor tech that Stark refuses to sell to the military? Why the hell was murder your first plan? This one act has taken all your negotiation power away from you and given it to Vanko. Say if you and Vanko didn't get along and he refuses to work with you. You can't threaten his life because first, you need him to get the tech, and second, because Vanko doesn't care about his own life. He walked out shirtless on the turf with cars driving by him at over 100 miles per hour in order to kill one guy. You think he gives a crap about his own health? You put yourself into a situation where you have to give in to his demands. Otherwise, at best, you get nothing. And at worst, he gets into contact with literally anyone to tell the authorities where he is so that he can get arrested and take you with him. All he has to do is let someone know that he is alive and you are absolutely boned. You need his cooperation, but you've given him all the power, you blockhead! But let's continue. So Hammer brings Vanko to an aircraft carrier to have a recruitment chat. And by the way, way to look tacky as heck having this dining set up in an aircraft hangar. This isn't the place for fine dining, don't pretend that it is. All it does is make you look snooty. Anyway, they have themselves a nice chat.
Если меня убьют, не будут и меня. Лучше умереть, чем жить в вашем мире.
Okay. Do you speak English? Because I can get a translator. I don't know, have you been understanding everything I'm saying?
Oh lord, really? You didn't get an interpreter? Dude, that is Deception 101. Language barriers are the absolute easiest ways to obfuscate what you're doing. If he decides to find someone working for you who does speak Russian, then he can get so much past you without you ever knowing. You presumably know what he looks like. Even without further investigation, you can guess that he's probably Russian or of Russian descent. But you can't assume he even knows English. Everything you are saying could mean absolutely nothing to him, which would waste both of your time and make you look like a bit of an idiot. I know, what a stretch. At the very least, having an interpreter would put you into his good graces, since it would give him the freedom to speak in the language that he prefers. Now, I wouldn't be harping on this quite as much since not everybody has the resources, but again, this guy has money. He can afford to find an interpreter just for Vanko. Next, when Hammer brings Vanko to his factory, he makes the exact same mistake that the terrorists made in the first Iron Man movie. He left Vanko alone to tinker with all this weapons tech with little to no supervision. Vanko has already proven to be very independent and very uncooperative.
That's not a helmet, it's a head. I need to put a guy in there. I need to fit a person in that suit. You understand?
Drone better.
What? Drone better? Why is drone better? Why is drone better?
People make problem. Trust me.
Now I need suits. The government wants suits. Like Iron Man. You understand? That's what the people want. That's what's gonna make them happy.
Hey man, don't get too attached to things. Learn to let go.
He has no reason to accede to Hammer's demands. He's going to do his own thing. Your goals might be similar, but they aren't the same. He will split off from you, and these are the first indications of that. And when you do decide to start asserting yourself, after you take his stuff, you talk down to him like he's a child.
I took your stuff. How's that make you feel? Do you feel bad? Good. Because that's how I feel!
Now at this point in the story, Rhodes took one of Stark's Iron Man suits and presented it to the military, and Hammer was called to arm it. So now Hammer doesn't need Vanko anymore, which is probably why he stopped taking Vanko's crap. Though a bit too little too late. He's already displayed to the guy how ineffectual he is. Asserting himself will not work. And so, Hammer leaves Vanko with some hired muscle and... Okay, these are the guys that you hired to keep Vanko in line? These guys? What? Did you get the first two mall cops that you could find? I could probably take these guys, and I've been out of shape for over a year. Even if Vanko wasn't sporting some major guns, the guy killed 2 people without any kind of suit, went toe-to-toe with Iron Man, and walked off getting hit with a car. Multiple times. And these 2 dudes are the ones you trust with detaining him? Well, look how well that worked out. Now, I might not be an expert in hiring employees, but I'm pretty sure there are better places for you to find hired muscle. It's not exactly a unique skill set. Club bouncers, MMA schools, biker gangs, old washed up football players, discharged police, grumpy military veterans. So many people who would fit the cross-section of athletic and in need of money. It's not hard to find people who can fight. So get people who can fight. Maybe then it would take more than a single minute for Black Widow to tear through your security. And of course, once the crap hits the fan at the Stark Expo, I would imagine it would be easy to see the writing on the wall and book it. Hammer can't exactly return from this. His own devices publicly attacked a crowd of innocents, probably resulting in several fatalities, tarnishing both his and his company's reputation, revealing Vanko's involvement, and again, making him look like an incompetent imbecile, if not a full-on terrorist. At this point, Hammer's best option is to just run. Find some country that would take him and leave. But then Pepper raises her voice at him and he folds.
Right away. Step aside. Step aside. Tell me everything you know.
Such determination to rival that of Anthony Stark.
You think you're making a problem for me? I'm gonna make a problem for you. I'm gonna be seeing you again real soon.
Oh, I highly doubt that, since I'm pretty sure you haven't shown up in any Marvel movies since this, leading me to believe that you couldn't even get yourself a good lawyer and spent the rest of your life in prison. Hammer was less of a character and more of a plot device to make Whiplash into a bigger threat than he could be by himself. If it wasn't for Hammer, his story would have ended at the Grand Prix. But Hammer's cockiness, immaturity, single-mindedness, and incompetence allowed Vanko to walk all over him and get the role of main villain. Hammer's depiction of a fictional rich idiot, as opposed to a real-life rich idiot, is one of the contributing factors of Iron Man 2 quite probably being Marvel's worst movie. But anyways, I hope you have enjoyed me ripping into this character. Take care, friends. Well, enter Drago. No, not Drago. It's Vanko. And while this gets him what he wants, the consequences of this are... You know, I should probably make this shot without my hair right in the middle of my face.